just turned 16 when I'd met my partner. He was 16 years older than me. I was at school and I fell pregnant the Christmas before my exams, so but I didn't really know about it until I was about 6 months pregnant. When I realised I was pregnant, and obviously my school uniform didn't fit. I think there was a girl 2 years before me who got pregnant, and she walked around school like she owned the place, wearing her own clothes and bragging and things like that. But I just didn't want anybody to know. Half the teachers didn't know, because my parents themselves, they were teachers, so they didn't want any sort of backlash of it. I went to the doctors and he asked me if I wanted an abortion or to give it away. Like, those were the only two options. So I walked out, went home, told my mum I was pregnant. So then she went with me to the next appointment, and obviously all the midwife care and everything was all set up. I had to prove to everybody else that I could actually do it. That was the worst thing, that was the most challenging bit about it. Just being pregnant, because everybody was trying to convince me to get rid of him or adopt him or whatever, because it's too late to have an abortion. It was just like, then, you know, everybody had the knowledge that all single parents, all young mums, were in poverty. They couldn't get jobs, they had no life, they had no career, they had no education, they, you know, and they just lived in council houses for the rest of their lives, and nobody would want them, nobody would, you know, and that was fact. There was no positives to having a baby when you were young. That's why everybody should give them away. I had to prove them otherwise. So I sat my exams about 6-7 months pregnant, and I actually passed out in my maths exam, which was quite funny because everybody thought I'd finished and nodded off, and I hadn't. I'd actually fainted. Parents were very strict Catholics. They didn't really have any sort of involvement. They just sort of left me to it. They basically wanted me to hide away once I started showing. So then I moved in with my partner because he had his own place. And yeah, so I left home at 16. And instead of looking forward to the birth, everybody was telling me that, you know, it's far too difficult to have a child, especially when I was a child myself. A few months later, I had my baby. I think he wore baby girls for the first 12 months of his life because they were cheap and easy. Didn't know what I was doing, had nobody to talk to. I had to go to these development groups. I think it was a healthcare person was actually astonished that, because you have these like these cards that they used to show the children to see if they recognised what they were. So she expected him not to know anything. She showed him this car. It was a yellow car, and she said, "What's that?" He said, "It's a vehicle." And so she went, "Oh, what kind of vehicle?" He says, "Well, I don't know." He's like, basically didn't know the make and model of it, but it was a car, and it was a yellow car. And so she's like, "Oh, okay." So he always elaborated on everything that was shown him, rather than just give the bog standard basic information. So I went out rather quite proud, because he gave far more information than any other child in the group. So I was really happy. The healthcare, whoever it was, just basically said, "All right, well, we won't need to see you again." And I thought, no, I know, because there's nothing wrong with him. But you had that stigma of, because you're a single parent, you were going to be a crap parent. It was a case of you sort of, you've made your bed, you lie in it. So I actually asked for a social worker, and they said, "No, you're not abusing your child, so you don't need one." So I thought, right, well, I'll leave that be then. So all the negative parts about being a young mum, not having an education. So myself and my son both have degrees, and we've both got very good jobs. The point of us being in poverty, we're probably earning the average wage of any normal person would be earning. We both know what we want in life. No, he hasn't become a teenage parent himself. So all the myths sort of got blown out the water, because I wanted to prove everybody wrong, that just because you're a young mum or a young parent doesn't mean you're going to be a crap one. you know, when people say, oh, kids don't know how good they've got it these days. I mean, you usually get old people saying that, but I'm only talking about 30 years ago when I had a baby. No support, no help, no nothing. Yet, you know, kids are popping out babies like they're, yeah, eating sweets, and because they've got that help and support of parents, of grandparents, of brothers, of sisters, and are able to hold down jobs because their workplace are more geared up to supporting parents nowadays where they weren't 30 years ago. So yeah, it's not about having the designer pram or how many babies you can get, and it's not about, you know, going to all these groups or having the best toys or having the best iPhone by the time it's 5 years old. It's not about that. It doesn't cost any money at all to be a decent parent, and it's nothing to do with your age. It's to do with your state of mind and the sort of person you want your child to be.